Ciao babies, it has been a minute since I've made a YouTube video. Welcome back if you've been here before. If you haven't, my name's Harrison. I'm a home cook and I like to make easy, achievable recipes that anybody can do. So nice to meet ya. You might have seen me around some other corners of the internet, cooking or hosting, and most recently reviewing Reese's Pumpkins. Nice to have you here, happy to be back. September was a very busy month. I spent the first half of September in Italy. My best friend Haley and I took a little girls trip. It was so nice. So in today's episode, we're going to be recreating some of the dishes from that trip that I just can't stop thinking about. I've got 4 fabulous recipes lined up that I love, that you're gonna love. Hopefully you turn to them over and over again and they give you a little taste of Italia as we start the full season. I've got a little coffee here. I've made one of my little, what I'm calling a dollar store macchiato. I just put coffee from my mocha pot in here and then just top it with frothed milk. She's fun. I got these little cuppies in Italy from the Bialetti store. I'm a Bialetti mocha pot freak. And it's hazelnut, so it's like so cozy. Before we get into the episode, I'm kind of in a chatty mood. So we're gonna sit here and catch up. If you wanna go ahead and skip to the recipes, all the timestamps are down below. No harm, no foul, no hard feelings. But for the yappers, we have a couple things to catch up on, okay? I've seen a lot of your comments and messages and Instagram DMs about where's the latest YouTube video? Where's the YouTube video? Here it is, you're getting it today. So while I was in Italy, I had a bag stolen from the train. The bag had my passport inside of it. It had my laptop inside of it, my hard drive. It had an Hermes bracelet that I had just bought myself. Oof. Hardest of all, it had my tax-free receipts in it because when you shop in the EU, they have the value-added tax. Anyway, and you get that money back in the form of a rebate when you leave the EU. All of that was in there. We were on a train from Milan to Rome. It was the very tail end of the trip. And I had the bag above me in the storage compartment, which was my first mistake. I should have just kept it with me the whole time. Long story short, I did have a video that was pre-filmed that was supposed to go live either while I was in Italy or shortly after when I got back. So you, in theory, would have had a video 2 weeks ago. That video is poof, gone into the ether. I was tracking the location of my laptop on my Find My on my phone. Last I checked, it was somewhere in suburban Rome. I'm sure it's being wiped and flipped and sold on the street to somebody as we speak. Whatever. I had to go to the police station, file a police report for the missing passport. That took a few hours. Then I had to go to the embassy the next morning and get an emergency replacement passport with all the other losers like me that also lost theirs. That experience was sort of akin to going to the DMV, but there was a real camaraderie in that room that I found very refreshing in a weird way. Everyone was there because something annoying and bad had happened to them. Their passport was either taken or they lost it or whatever. We were all kind of there following this system, sharing tips. So it was cute. In a way, it was actually pretty cute. Amidst the chaos, it was nice to find community in that sense. It was a story. It certainly was a story. So for the actual trip, the largest chunk of our time was in Positano on the beach. We just kind of lounged at beach clubs most days. I did some needle pointing on the beach, which I'll talk more about my needle pointing obsession. We took a ceramics class, which was so much fun. And then we also ate and did a cooking class at a wonderful restaurant called Pasitas in Positano. And one of the recipes from that class we're actually gonna recreate in the video today. So you'll see the whole thing start to finish. It was so fabulous. It's a really incredible little 6-table restaurant there in Positano, run by 2 brothers. It's a walk-in only type thing. The menu changes pretty much every day. So if you ever find yourself in that corner of the globe or somewhere on the Amalfi Coast, you really should go pay them a visit. It was probably the best meal that we had the entire time. So from Positano, we went to Florence, spent 3 days in Florence, did the same thing in Milan, and then a couple days in Rome before we flew out. And despite the chaos at the tail end of the trip, it was so wonderful. I'm just so lucky that I got to be able to just take 2 weeks away to go and do that. But it was kind of nice to be able to use a trip like this to inform what I do when I come home. And that's the theme of today's video. Traveling and having these new experiences, yes, in the moment they're wonderful and they make great memories, but where the real fun comes in is what you bring with you back home into your daily life. This cup, for example. So something to think about. We ate tons of incredible things, had a really fabulous time. I wrote about kind of my favorite bites of Italy over on Substack if you want to go and check that article out. Maybe you're planning a trip soon, somebody you know is planning a trip soon. You might be looking for some fun restaurants and places to try. could be something for you. In other news, I've been back for, what's today, October 3rd when I'm filming this. So a little over 2 weeks now, back in the swing of things. I've been posting a little mini series of like cozy, easy fall dinners over on TikTok and Instagram. So if you haven't caught up there, go ahead and give that a little look-see. So far, he's done chicken and dumplings, cheeseburger, macaroni, homemade chicken stock. And then I got some more fun ones coming up. And then from there, we're gonna get like really into Thanksgiving stuff. I'm trying to like plot out, okay, how many recipes do I want to do this year? How many are new? How many are repeats? So if anyone has thoughts, if we need to have like a little shareholder meeting boardroom moment in the comments and let me know kind of what you might like to see for Thanksgiving, let me know. Other than that, it's business as usual. I've been watching all my usual reality shows. As of today, I've not seen the first part of the Miami reunion. Really looking forward to that. OC is about to wrap up. Let me tell you, Dancing with the Stars this season, starting off with a bang, I must say. But beyond that, I've been like really in my needle pointing era. My friend Kenzie got me completely hooked. And as you can see, this new fixation has taken on a life of its own. This is my needlepoint bag. And I will sit here and talk your ear off about it all day long, if you'd let me. But I'll keep it brief. I just want to show you what I'm working on right now. This is a little Ina Garten canvas. I just started working on her pants. I finished her face, her Cosmo, her wooden spoon earlier today. This has been really keeping me occupied. And I will say it's so nice to have something like, 8:30, 9 p.m. rolls around. I'm ready to wind down. I'm ready to take things to a place of bed. So being able to crawl up in bed, stitch for an hour, and then blissfully drift away to sleep. Amazing. And it's nice to have something where I'm not like on my phone, Otherwise, I just be like sitting there scrolling, and that's kind of draining. Okay, I got some projects I can't show you because they're presents, but I also finished this little martini. I think I want to turn that either into an ornament or into a bag charm. The whole like finishing it's a whole other journey. We did this Sex and the City ornament. That's fun. This SMU ornament I finished on the trip. So that's lovely. So I gotta get all these taken care of. I'm sure that'll cost me another bajillion dollars and take 100 years. And then here's what I'm gonna work on next. For my room, I'm gonna have this one framed. How pretty is that? So, anyway, that's my needlepoint truth. That's enough of me. Let's go ahead and get into today's video and get started on these recipes. I don't know if I can stress how delicious and simple some of these are. The Eggplant Parmigiana, which is I think my favorite, is the most involved. It's like a 2-day process. And Chef Antonio from Pasitas, the restaurant I was telling you about, sent me like instructions on how to make it. So we are following his guidance today. All right, roll the footage. Hi everybody. Don't mind me, I'm just making my little dollar store cafe macchiato, as I've been calling it. So today we're gonna be, whoa, spilling. So today we're gonna be recreating some of my favorite dishes from my Italy trip that I just can't stop thinking about. Mommy needs a little caffeine, but one of those things was a cafe macchiato. And I had one, I think almost every single day. And since I've been home, because I don't own an espresso machine, this is how I've been just like recreating it. So I brewed up some coffee in my little mocha, and then I just froth up some regular old milk, like so. Then I just take like a big dollop of the frothy milk and plop it right on top of my coffee. That's just how I've been doing it. I probably should buy an espresso machine one of these days. Cheers. While we sip on this, let's talk about what we're gonna be working on today. It's the hazelnut coffee that I got. It's so good. We've got 4 recipes on the docket for today. We are going to be starting with a little fig, prosciutto, and mozzarella appetizer that I had a couple different places, similar versions of the same thing. Thought it'd be a great thing to whip out for a party. Then we're going to move on to pasta alla matriciana. It's one of the 4 classic Roman pasta dishes. I had a great version of it our very last night in Rome before we flew out. I think I want to do one today that's like a little bit spicier. So we're gonna add some Calabrian chili and kind of spice things up. Then we're going to make probably my favorite thing I ate the entire time, which is eggplant parmigiana. Haley and I took a cooking class at a wonderful restaurant in Positano that I'll tell you more about. This is that recipe. So if you think you don't like eggplant or you don't like breaded, heavy eggplant parmesan, this is totally gonna be the one for you. It's a little more labor intensive. It's a 2-day process. So we're gonna start today and finish tomorrow. And then we'll wrap it up at the end with a Negroni Sbagliato, a sparkling Negroni. I've had one, I think, every night since I got back from Italy, which is not a great habit to be in. I might be dabbling in a little bit of a sober October moment after this, but they're really, really good. So we'll make one of those when we finish the eggplant as like a little celebratory end to the whole thing. Anyway, I'm very excited to get started. Feeling good, feeling energized. I'm so happy to be back here in the kitchen with you guys. It's been forever. I have been posting like shorter recipes and stuff over on TikTok and Instagram like I normally do, but this is different. You and I both know this is different. This is a lot more fun, frankly. So let's put the milk up and let's get to work. All right, starting with an appetizer, we're gonna do a little prosciutto, mozzarella, and fig platter. I'm sure you've seen this before. I've had variations of it when we were in Italy and also like here at home. But it's a great, easy, assembly-only thing to whip together for a party. Figs are like so good right now. It barely qualifies as a recipe, frankly, which is why I'm a fan of it. I've got some fresh mozzarella here. Slice this open. I've got 3 really gorgeous, super ripe figs. These are gorge. We're gonna start with our figs. These ones are pretty big. It's a big fig. So I'm gonna go in quarters with these. This is an 18-month aged prosciutto di Parma with prosciutto. Ugh, I think the expensive stuff is worth it. Frankly, even this one is not nearly as good as the one that I had in Italy. Well, this is pretty close. Look at that. Just wafer thin, salty, delicious. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. Now to put this together, all we really have to do is just assemble everything on a big platter. So I'm just gonna rip our fresh mozzarella into kind of large, irregular pieces and just arrange it all over the tray. The restaurant that we ate at in Positano served it like this. I think he actually used, might have been stracciatella or burrata. You could use any of those cheeses as well. We're gonna use this whole package, why not? So it looks really full, really bountiful. Then our prosciutto, I'm just gonna take individual slices and kind of, you know, gingerly lay them together. Kind of falls apart on you like this one just did. No matter, that's just like a small piece. It's very calming. One more back here. I think that looks really, really nice. Then our figs, just arranged right on top. Just really casually, like you didn't try too hard. With something like this, what really matters is the quality of the ingredients. And my like impression of, you know, all the best food that we had was that that's how it was approached. Really solid ingredients, prepared very, very simply. For a pop of green, a little fresh arugula right on top. Very nice, very nice. Then here's how we're gonna finish it. A little olive oil, some black pepper, for a little punch, some fresh lemon zest right over everything. Are you kidding me? How fabulous does that look? That'll look so stunning on your table, I'm serious. I'm gonna save these figs as a snack for myself. Like, love that. It's so fresh, it's super light. It's the kind of appetizer that's not really gonna fill you up. It's a little something to wet the whistle. Just a total delight, start to finish. I haven't eaten lunch yet, so I'm like starving. This is so good. All right, I gotta stop myself so we can like move on to the next thing. I'm just gonna pop a little plastic on this and save it for later tonight when more people are home to enjoy it. And then we're gonna move on to our pasta matriciana. All right, we are ready for our next recipe. We are going to be making a little bit of slight spin on pasta alla matriciana, which is one of the 4 classic Roman pasta dishes. The others being carbonara, cacio e pepe, and pasta alla gricia. This one is like pasta alla gricia with tomato. We had this at dinner on our last night in Rome, and it was so, so good. The pasta was perfectly cooked. The tomato sauce was silky smooth, crunchy, salty guanciale. It was really, really phenomenal. I'm gonna break tradition here for a bit and add some chopped Calabrian chilies to our tomato sauce for that extra like spicy hit. Garbage bowl's in the way. This is a very, very simple weeknight friendly pasta dish you can just pull together. I have in my possession some guanciale. This is cured pork jowl. I had the deli slice it nice and thickums for me. And I'm gonna go with nice thick pieces about that big. Nice chunky pieces. That's what I'm after. Greatness. We're gonna begin by rendering all the fat from this guanciale. So I'm placing it into a cold pan. I really like the cold pan technique for rendering fat for things like guanciale or bacon, pancetta, what have you, because the drippings will flavor the sauce so nicely. I'm gonna put this on over like medium-low heat to start. All right, we're just gonna let these go and start to render. All right, while that is happening, we're gonna go ahead and get started on our sauce. I am gonna suit up because tomato splatters are about to be involved. You can do this by just like adding canned tomatoes to a bowl and mushing them up with your hands, or by like letting the canned tomatoes simmer in the pan and then like mushing them with a spoon. What I love so much about the amatriciana that I had was that the sauce was like silky smooth. So I am going to blend mine. This is a 28-ounce can of whole peeled tomatoes. In she goes. Gonna give our can a swish with some water, a little red pepper flake, and then some chopped Calabrian chili. Choose your own adventure here. I'm using about a tablespoon. I find these quite potent, but I love the type of heat from a Calabrian chili. Next, a little salt and pepper, and that is really it for the sauce. I'm gonna really puree it. All right. Perfect. This can just set aside until I need it. Clear the decks. Guanciale's going. Can you hear it? Gonna be good. All right, guanciale's been going for several minutes. It's starting to really crisp up, so I'm just tossing everything together to get these other sides some love. It is all happening. Our pancetta is almost there, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring it over to the stove. Mommy is hungry. This pancetta looks fab. Very, very dark and crunchy. Exactly what I want. I'm gonna drain it on a little plate here. Then between you and me, I don't really need all of this pork fat that's here in the bottom. So I'm gonna pour most of it off, but I am gonna leave myself a nice layer in the bottom along with those brown bits. And we'll save this pork fat for another fabulous project. Gonna leave this as is. We're gonna get our pasta water going. Water is a-boiling. I even like this angle. I kind of like this. Salty, salty. Then here's the pasta that we're using. This is one that I actually brought back with me from Italy. It's just like a large fusilli, basically. I'll show you. Yes, honey. So that's gonna be fab. We're gonna use, let's say 3/4 of this bag. And then while our pasta's cooking, we're gonna turn our attention to the sauce. Okay. This has just kind of been sitting here while our pasta was coming up to a boil. So I'm gonna return this to like medium-low heat. We have all these gorgeous drippings in the bottom, letting our pot get nice and hot again. You really don't want our pasta to cook too long. You want it just al dente. It'll finish all in the sauce together. Big splash of white wine. This is just like a dry white that was in the back of my refrigerator. Then our tomato sauce from earlier. Truly, the sauce does not need to sit here and simmer for a long time. Just let it go while the pasta cooks, and that's good enough. Good stuff. All right, let me test this pasta to see how we're doing. Yep. Turn the pasta off. Turn the saucepan off. In goes all of our pasta. Splash of our pasta water. We can always add more. In goes our guanciale. In hindsight, I might have overdone the guanciale just a little bit, but letting it sit in the sauce, it'll kind of rehydrate. And I think it'll be great regardless. Big handful of grated pecorino. I grated this earlier. And we're, of course, gonna do more pecorino on top. This looks so good. Look how fab this looks. I'm very, very excited for a giant bowl of this. Okay. OMG, this looks so good. Then I want a little bit of the oil from the Calabrian chilies on top. You can tell how much I've done this because there's like no oil left in this jar. More grated pecorino on top. Guys, I am so excited about this. I can't even tell you. Oh my God, that's good. It's got such good heat. gentle, but it's there. And when you get a piece of that guanciale, that's the bite that you're here for. The pasta is really nice and al dente. It's got such good texture, such a simple, comforting dish. It's so good. Okay, I'm gonna devour this, clean up, and then we are gonna begin our journey with eggplant parmesan. Okay, time for maybe my favorite dish that I had while I was in Italy, which is eggplant parmigiana. Haley and I took a cooking class with Chef Antonio from Positas in Positano, and he taught us how he makes his eggplant parmesan. And holy moly, when I tell you, this was such a fantastic bite of food. It's fairly simple in construction, but you do have to do quite a bit to the eggplant before it's ready to make eggplant parmesan with. He was kind enough to send me the instructions for this, and I hope I do this justice because I've not made it yet. So we're gonna learn together. I think we can figure it out. Unfortunately, it is a 2-day process. So today, day 1, we're going to prepare all of our eggplant. And the first step is to slice everything very thin. We're going to salt them and let them drain for a couple of hours to remove all the excess liquid. From there, we're gonna fry the eggplant and then let them sit overnight. And then we'll use the fried eggplant tomorrow to construct the eggplant parmesan, bake it in the oven, load it with cheese and basil. It's gonna be great. First things first is to slice up all of our eggplant. You'll notice that I'm not using like the large, giant, like emoji eggplants. These are baby eggplants. Something smaller is, I think, more apt for this use case. You'll have smaller rings of eggplant and they're not quite so like big and spongy, you know? So I'm gonna slice everything on my mandolin, being very careful, paying, close attention. You guys know my rule with the mandolin, don't be a hero. I'm stopping there. Oh, I'm gonna get a garbage bowl actually. We don't have one going yet. I think I bought, 5 of these baby eggplants. And I'm slicing them on the thickest setting on my mandolin. Yeah, so in our cooking class, Chef Antonio was just like so knowledgeable. He was really like half cooking class, half history lesson. With all the little tidbits and information he gave us about the origin of this dish and how eggplant were introduced and, comparing food and agriculture between Italy and America, and it was great. It was such a fun experience. And if you are ever in Positano, if you're ever on the Amalfi Coast and you want like a truly unforgettable meal, you gotta go pay him a visit. You could also slice these, very thin using a sharp knife. I think my mandolin blade actually needs to get resharpened. It's starting to wear out on me a bit. Last one. The eggplant we used in his class were they were kind of like long, thin planks. So I'm wondering if he actually sliced them the other direction. I bet he did, but it's still gonna work out just fine for us. All right, next step. We are going to drain the eggplant. So I've got a larger bowl here. I'm gonna set my colander inside. We get some salt. I'm just gonna arrange our sliced eggplants in layers. Let me bring y'all in. All right, so I'm stacking our eggplant in layers. And then he says to add a little bit of salt to each layer. And we just keep layering, little salt, keep it moving. If you've got vegetarians in your family, this would be such a great vegetarian holiday main dish. All right, there we go. Next, I'm gonna lay down a little plastic wrap on these. I'm gonna lay a kitchen towel over top. How about this one from Zabar's in New York City? And then he says to press something heavy on top. So I've got a can of tomatoes. I've got this little thing of rice that I use as a pie weight. And there we go, a second can of tomatoes. I'm gonna let this sit just like this and let these drain. A little bit of liquid coming out. And I'll see you later when it's time to fry these up. All right, girls. We're back in action with the eggplant parmesan. This has been draining away. See the liquid in the bottom? I'll show you. For 2 hours. I'm gonna take off our weights, our kitchen towel. There is the liquid that's collected. Yummy. Oh no, I just spilled that. That's disgusting. And our next step is to fry all of these eggplants. Here's how we're looking. As you drip more juice on my counter. I am gonna lay these out on a paper towel just to help collect any more excess moisture before we go and fry these. Bit of a process, but you know what? It's gonna be worth it, I believe it. We really want the eggplant to be pretty dry when they hit the hot oil here in a second. So, as dry as we can get them, we're going to. Nope. This is one of those things where it's like, if you're gonna go to the trouble, might as well make a lot. So we'll see. When we did them in the cooking class, the finished eggplant parms were just like little stacks roasted just on little sheet trays. But I'm thinking I might build one in a casserole dish. All right, another layer of paper towel. I mean, this is serious business here. Okay, another press on all these. All right, over here on the stove, I have a large skillet. I'm gonna heat up and take the stopper out. Gonna heat up a decent layer of avocado oil. Start heating this over medium heat. And we're gonna fry up some eggplant, baby. I've created a little eggplant landing zone right here. This is just a rim baking sheet with a wire rack on top, and I put some, it's a cut up brown paper grocery sack underneath. A little bit longer on our oil. Over here, I've got all my eggplants. So we'll just fry these off in batches. Just about there, right about 350 degrees. So let's start frying some eggplant. What do you say? Turn my vent on, sorry. Go ahead and pull these. You'll see they really do shrink up. All right, we keep going. Next layer of eggplants. All right, I'm just gonna continue on here and I will bring you back when these are all done. All right, folks, we are on our last batch. I know it looks like a lot, but it's going pretty quick. These are taking about 2.5 minutes per batch. And that's how they're looking. So, some are kind of brown and crispy, some are a little more soft. I think that's okay, but I really underestimated just how much they would shrink while frying. We'll see kind of what our final yield will be when we go to assemble this tomorrow. The best feeling. All right, friends. Okay. Here's all of our eggplant. We are going to store these overnight and then assemble and bake the eggplant parm tomorrow. So I'm gonna let these cool completely, and then we're gonna stack them up in layers in a little aluminum tray. These are probably pretty much cool enough. A couple of burnt ones from the last batch. We're gonna say goodbye to those. Unfortunately, I'm using even more paper towels in this recipe. I just felt like parchment wouldn't absorb any excess moisture or oil. So I'm just gonna lay these in haphazardly, no rhyme or reason. It's one layer. And the rest of it. Okay. Little foil on these. Give myself a cut on the foil. In the fridge overnight. We're gonna assemble and bake it tomorrow. I'm really excited about this. So I'm gonna clean up and I will see you tomorrow. Welcome back, babies. It is the next day and we are going to finish this eggplant parmesan. Our eggplants are still in the fridge. We are going to fix up the tomato sauce that we'll use for this recipe. I also got these instructions from Chef Antonio, my best friend, and it's a very, very simple tomato sauce. Just uses canned tomatoes. He purees them and then strains them. So I guess it's a slightly different preparation versus the sauce that we made for the amatriciana yesterday. But I'm curious to see if this like makes a huge difference because I loved the sauce yesterday. So I'm kind of curious to see if straining them after pureeing really makes a big difference. You also probably could just use passata for this too. So, you know what? Let's apron up so I don't get tomatoes on my super cute, slightly cropped t-shirt. I feel like Bob's Burgers every time I wear a white t-shirt and then I put an apron on. This can opener from Pampered Chef, I really like. Is Pampered Chef like the only good MLM? Okay, there's that. Right in the blender. Little water to clear it all out. We're gonna puree these. I might have to kind of do this in batches. Really what this does is just strains all the seeds out. Expecting my dad to walk in with a Diet Coke from McDonald's for me any second. I can't wait. A little bit left. Fabulous. What did I say? Gimme, gimme. Thank you, Pop Pop.
You're welcome. What you doing with the tomato sauce?
We're gonna start simmering it for the eggplant parmesan. Oh, delectable. All right, over to the stove. Got this over medium-low heat. Little olive oil. He says to add 1 whole clove of garlic. Let this saute in here just for a minute or so. Then our strained tomatoes. Turn my heat down. He says just a little salt. You could put a basil leaf in here if you wanted to, but we're gonna add basil to the eggplant parm, so I'm not gonna worry about it today. He says to let this simmer and reduce for just a little bit, but not too much. So I got this on a nice low simmer, and I'm gonna leave it with the lid kind of cockeyed like that. All right, while that is simmering away, we're gonna prep some shredded cheese to go inside. One of my favorite things to do when I shred cheese is to do it on top of parchment paper. It just keeps everything cleaner. I am using a smoked provolone for this. I like the flavor, I like the beet, but I think any kind of like, you could do mozzarella, you could do regular provolone. Doesn't have to be grated. You could get like deli slices of provolone and just cut them up into like little squares. Fabulous. And what I love about the parchment paper, you can just kind of scoop everything up, put it into a bowl. Oh, look at that. The best. Otherwise, all we need is some grated Parm. I grated this yesterday. I had a bunch of random little Parmesan pieces in my fridge, so I was like, let's just grate this up. And some fresh basil. And that's really it. Eggplant, sauce, cheese, basil. Dunzo. We'll let our sauce go for about 5 more minutes or so. In the meantime, here's our eggplant from yesterday. These have just been in the fridge overnight. Everyone's looking good. And in the class with Chef Antonio, we assembled them just like in free-form piles on little rimmed baking sheets. I think for doing this at home, like as a family-sized meal, we will do just a small casserole dish. Okay. This has been simmering away. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the heat. The instructions were to, and I quote, let it reduce, but not too much. I think we filled the brief there. All right, let's assemble this puppy. What do you say? Okay, I'm gonna start with a little layer of sauce on the bottom. Then we're gonna layer in our eggplant. Gonna overlap them. Yeah, next time I do this, I'm definitely gonna cut them into planks instead of rounds. A little more sauce on top of the eggplant. Kind of zhuzh it around as best as I can. Provolone, Parm. And then we're gonna tear some little pieces of basil in there also. And then we repeat. Hey. This is gonna be crazy. See, in class we did 3 layers. We'll see how much eggplant I have. Might get a 4th layer, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I have quite enough to do a fourth layer. So we're just gonna kind of pack on a little extra. And for our last layer, just no basil on the top layer or else it'll burn in the oven. Use the rest of that. Heavy dusting of Parm here at the very end. Kind of nestle some of the cheese up against the edges so it can get really crispy in the oven. That's like the best bite of any sort of baked casserole, lasagna, what have you. Okay, clean up our edge just a bit. I'm going to put this in at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes to start, and then we'll check from there. Really, we just want it to get hot and bubbly and for all that cheese to melt and to get us a little bit of crispiness here on the edge. Okay, now while that is in the oven, I think that you and I have been working really hard and we deserve a little treat while the eggplant parmesan cooks. So I'm gonna make us a little Negroni Sbagliato, which is like a sparkling Negroni. That's like what I've been calling them since I came home, because for whatever reason, to say Negroni Sbagliato in my own home just feels like I'm pretending to be someone that I'm not. Does that make sense? Anyway, even though Sbagliato does not mean sparkling, it means mistaken or like wrong. And I found this out because when I was eating dinner in Rome, I'd ordered one, as I did almost every day when I was in Italy, and the waiter dropped it off and he goes, "Here you go, a Negroni wrong." And I thought he was like making fun of me because it's like not a traditional like Negroni. No, turns out he was just saying it to me in English. It was cute. You follow the traditional rules for a Negroni, which is equal parts Campari, sweet vermouth, and then instead of putting in gin, you just top the whole thing with Prosecco. So I'm gonna do 1 ounce of each. Oh no, empty. There we go, 1 ounce of each. Then I've got one of my big chunky ice cubes that are my absolute favorites. Get that nice and chilly. Then, little Prosecco. I was not really a big Prosecco person until this trip. My friend Haley loves Prosecco, so anytime we go anywhere, it was Prosecco. And because the bottles were so cheap, you might as well just split a bottle. So I started drinking it with her because it was just easy. And dang, I've blown through like 3 or 4 bottles of Prosecco since we've been home. Woo! And then I just fill it the rest of the way. Can you hear that? It's a very good noise. Other day I went to make one of these with the bottle of Prosecco that I'd opened the night before, and it was like so flat. So nice to have a crispy one. Okay. Lastly, they always came served with like a little half moon of orange, and the orange just kind of soaks up all of that Campari as you drink it, and you get to eat the orange at the end. Cheers, dolls. Oh, that's like really hitting the spot. You guys, she's done. I've let this cool for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. With something like this, you really want to let it cool sufficiently so that everything can come back together. I really like to get a clean slice of this, you know? I'm gonna do a little more torn basil on the top. Am I? Actually, no, I'm not. I don't like how that looks. That makes me sad. Just kidding, changed my mind. Okay, I'm gonna get some pictures of this and then we're gonna cut into it. Get this out of my way. I'm gonna go for a corner. Oh my gosh, that crispy edge, you guys. Get out. Oh, this is perfect. How lucky are we? Here we go. What a treat. I will say, it's pretty close. Wow. Totally just like brought me back. How funny. This is like the ultimate comforting dish. This is tremendous. Worth the effort, 10 times over. If you have the time, or you want to do something a little bit different for the holidays this year, this would be a fabulous, fabulous choice. If you think you don't like eggplant, you gotta give it a go. Thank you, Chef Antonio. So, so good. Folks, I'm afraid that is the last recipe in our lineup for today. Hope you had fun, hope you learned something. All right, I'm gonna kick it back over to myself to wrap this up, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao. All right, dolls, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed those recipes. There is still some leftover Parmigiana in that fridge that I'm about to go and bust into right now. I'll have all these recipes out in a new edition of my newsletter. It's called The Dinner Club. You can find the link to subscribe down below in the description. So all these recipes can be sent straight to your inbox. And now is a really good time to become a newsletter subscriber because we're gonna be doing a subscribers only live over on Substack, I think in like mid-November. And it's gonna be all about Thanksgiving hosting, answering all your questions, doing some recipes live with you guys. pies. It's gonna be so much fun. So more to come there. And that is all the time I have for today. I love you so much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for waiting. I hope this video was worth my little 1 month unplanned hiatus. But listen, we're back on track, baby. It's gonna be a really, really fun and jam-packed holiday season around here. I cannot wait to share it with you. And I'll see you in the next one. Arrivederci.